series with amazing founders from the Indian blockchain ecosystem. Today, we have a young and enthusiastic founder who's looking to make a dent in the universe. Um, Smart contracts, as many of you know, are conditioned on real world events. So if you would bet against the outcome of Bitcoin reaching $19,000, you would have lost your money in the last 1 week, right? But how does the smart contract get to know about this real world event? That happens through what we call as an oracle. An oracle takes that data, it uses a real world source and sort of feeds that data to the smart contract, and that's how smart contracts get triggered, and you lose your money in this case. So Rishikesh is building a decentralized oracle platform, right? So he's building something called as Razor Network, and we'll learn about his journey. What is it that got him to build this decentralized oracle network, and a much more interesting conversation is on the cards in the next few minutes. Welcome, Rishikesh. Thanks for joining in today.
Thanks a lot for having me here, Akshay. Really excited to talk to you and reach out to your audience.
Yes, Rishikesh, tell us, tell us your story. But I would want you to zoom in before blockchain part first.
Mhm.
Tell us, where do you come from? What excites you? What gets you going?
Sure. So yeah, so I grew up, in small Indian towns. Always shifted from town to town. Grew up fascinated with computers, playing video games. I started programming when I was a teenager. Um, so I finished my college and right away jumped into different kinds of technologies. So I started as a full stack developer. Then I went into data science field, become a data scientist, and then I moved more into product management background. So I guess I was trying to kind of find my passion, and that's when I came across Bitcoin and blockchain in late 2015, and that was opening a whole another Pandora's box. It's found it really fascinating technology from all kinds of perspective, the kind of social impact it can have on so many lives. Um, was really very interesting. So I right away jumped to work full time in this field. So I worked as a blockchain developer with different companies. Last company I worked for was Consensus. So I worked there for 1.5 years, and uh, and yeah, while I was there, I was looking at what are the different kinds of use cases of blockchain, which are not just something that we are dreaming, something that can be possible in the future, but what is possible now. And that use case is DeFi. And as I looked more in depth, I realized, uh, this is the Oracle problem, like you said, was a really big problem, which is stopping this field to get to the next level. So that's how I found out about this problem, and ever since I've been very passionate and working very hard to solve this problem. So that's how I Razor Network started this
That's
story.
amazing. I'll quickly, sort of come in and ask you about, you mentioned how you've worked as a developer, and, there's this huge notion that, founders that succeed in the crypto space generally tend to be from the tech background. Do you agree with that? This is just something that I realized while you were introducing yourself.
Yes, understanding the tech is really important, to grasp why this is such a big paradigm shift from the traditional space. Anything that has happened before blockchain and what is possible with blockchain, there is a big shift. And unless you understand the technology, um, and also a little bit of finance and how governance works, how voting works, how democracy works, how economy works, a lot of these things, the more fields you touch, the more you begin to realize how big this is. And it's really difficult to grasp how big this is, unless you understand at least a little bit of all of these things, and especially the tech behind it.
Absolutely. And, so what Rishikesh talks about is, for steerers, it's very important to have a, world level or like a broad level, perspective when it comes to crypto and blockchain. Because if you see having or dealing with the currency and, ensuring its price, ensuring that the tech is getting developed to the right goals, maneuvering around the goals, because a lot of this is tech based, and, a lot of gaps to be filled are also, majorly tech driven. It's very important how technology becomes a huge aspect to, the main steering of a project in the crypto space. But back to your story. So you mentioned about, working as a developer, and I think you mentioned full stack development before you got into the product journey. Where did you work, and, could you tell us a bit about that as well?
I started out as a freelancer. Used to work with different companies from all over the world. For different projects, mostly web
So,
development, full stack
so
web
a gig
development.
worker, TopTal, Elance,
Yes,
work. That,
started with Fiverr,
okay.
but then moved to yeah, I think it's called O Work now, something like that. They changed the name. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so with product management, was it also the stint at, with these gigs with various companies across the globe through these platforms, or was it more through like a dedicated startup?
So after freelancing, I did it for a while, but I realized it's not really for me. It's quite hectic, working with so many different time zones as a single resource. So I
Mm-hmm.
joined. I became fascinated with data science. So I joined a company called Quantium. It's Australia's probably the biggest consultancy firm in data science.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I joined the Indian branch. I was the third employee there. Watched the company grow from three to
Mm-hmm.
probably 100 plus now. I started participating in competitive data science,
Mm-hmm.
programming. So there's a website called Kaggle.com. Um, I started programming there, and I was in top 200 out of something like 100,000 data scientists from
So,
all over the
so
world.
from data science to blockchain, and,
Yeah.
we're still attached to the data problem. If we see,
Sorry.
you're still attached to the data problem. Now this
Yes,
is
yes,
not
yes,
data.
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. So you're working at the interface of, or the intersection of, two broad fields. One is the data, which, is kind of the new oil for, pretty much everything. And, then is blockchain, which kind of is trying to, you know, basically enable trust in democracies and various aspects of the democracies that we live in today. Right. So, help me zoom in. Why are oracles important? And for a lot of our audience, they might, just know it from a very high level perspective. Just tell us, what is, an oracle all about? How do you look at them?
Mhm. Okay, so yeah, going back to the applications of the blockchain, like where can we use actually, the blockchain,
Mhm.
uh, other than just sending simple transfers,
Mhm.
payments, right?
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, some blockchains like Ethereum, they have support for smart contracts.
Mhm.
That means that you can develop an application on top of the blockchain.
Mhm.
Um, so if you see most of the, what are the different kinds of applications that are built today,
Mhm.
it's all decentralized finance pretty much. It's like more than 90-95% of it is decentralized finance. So we can see, for example, Aave or MakerDAO, DYDX, Uniswap, all of these different applications that people are using these days. So most of these applications require some kind of real world data.
Absolutely.
So for example, DAI, the
Mhm.
MakerDAO, they need to know what is the price of Ether with respect to USD continuously, 24/7, and has to be very accurate. Even just one mistake there, if you feed one incorrect data, that will destroy the whole platform.
Exactly.
Um, so yes, so most of these DeFi applications require some kind of external data. Most of the times it is a price feed.
Sure.
Um, Now, the problem is that the blockchains do not allow you to fetch or get any kind of data from outside the blockchain.
Sure.
Uh, we cannot, for example, get any data from internet or any website or anything like that. That is the fundamental problem, and that's what we call the Oracle problem. Um, so how the early applications, the initial applications, how they solved this problem was that they they themselves pushed that data to the blockchain.
Hmm.
Um, so essentially they were acting as a centralized oracle. They themselves were pushing the data because the blockchains cannot pull the data. They
Sure.
were pushing it themselves.
Hmm.
Um, but then again, it causes the problem of centralization. Now you have to trust that person or the company that they are pushing the correct data.
Sure.
Um, so so to solve that problem, the idea of decentralized oracles came up, where it's not just one person or one company, but a group of people could be spread out all over the world reporting the data,
Hmm.
uh, so that even if one or more uh, of these reporters are reporting incorrect data, at least the other majority can report the correct data, and will be able to get that correct data.
So then reporting about these data becomes like the new kind of gig economy, like new kind of gig works in the future. Is that one probable outcome?
Yeah, you can say that, mining, farming, all of these is kind of new gig economy. You see a lot
Gigs.
of, yeah, decentralized farmers nowadays.
Sure.
um, yeah, definitely. I mean, it is a job. It's like you have to run your node. You have to make sure everything, your computer is online 24/7. If anything goes wrong, you have to kind of restart the server or whatever. So definitely, it's a job, and it can pay well.
So does a friend of Rishikesh qualify to get paid a little more than the rest of the people in the, probably later on at Razer Network?
uh, no, so
Damn, I'm going to use this relationship there. Just kidding. But, so we're kind of moving from consensus at the network layer, wherein, mining and everything is happening, to now, at the Oracle layer as well, or are the two integrated? Try to, help me understand that a bit.
okay, so how it works in Razor network is it's a proof of stake protocol. So that means you need to stake your tokens. So we have a native token called Razor.
Hmm.
You have to lock your token if you want to be a validator in the network, right?
Sure.
Validator or staker.
Hmm.
Um, now you have to now any client application can make a request. For example, MakerDAO can make a request asking what is the price of Ether.
Hmm.
Now you as a validator, you have to perform that task. Like you have to go, your node will go to the internet, get
Hmm.
the price of Ether, and report it back to the Razor network. Um, so different validators from all over the world will report the same data,
Hmm.
and we have our own consensus algorithm. Apart from proof of stake, we also have truth by consensus. So what that means is truth by consensus.
Hmm.
So what that means is we assume that the majority of the reporters are uh, honest.
Hmm.
So if let's say 90% or all the other stakers are reporting price of Ether as 600, and
Hmm.
you are the only one reporting it as $1,000,
Hmm.
then we assume that you are trying to cheat. You are trying to feed malicious data because the difference is so large from everyone else. Um, so in that case, you will incur a penalty. So your stake will be reduced,
Uh-huh.
and the majority will get the tokens. So they will be rewarded. So this is how, this is the basic mechanism how Razor network works.
So moving on, applications like Augur is a target audience for you to, or like a target customer for you to get Razer Network incorporated in, or how do you think that's going to flow?
Prediction markets are definitely something, they're definitely one of our target market. They do require outside data. So not only they require outside data, they require the data to be very, very, accurate and perfect, because there could be millions of dollars on the line for every prediction market question or bet, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, prediction markets are definitely a target market. Augur, probably not, because they have their own oracle inbuilt in their platform. But if anyone else wants to create a prediction market using Razor, it is very easy. We are making it much more easier to create a prediction market or any DeFi app using Razor Network.
Sure. And when you talk about utilizing the decentralized Oracle aspects of the Razor network, do we also need to natively write smart contracts on Razor network, or can the smart contracts be on another blockchain, and the Oracle system works sort of parallel, sort of in an API format with that? How does take us through that as a process?
So Razor Network is it's blockchain agnostic. We have
Uh-huh.
partnered with many different blockchains, and if your application is on any of these blockchains, you can use Razor Network to fetch the price.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, some of our partners include Matic Network,
Sure.
Scale Network,
Mm-hmm.
Persistence, so XDC. So yeah, we have partnered with many different.
So
Uh,
all Indian networks completely on you, huh? Is that
Definitely, like we definitely support. We want to support the Indian ecosystem, and we support all the Indian projects. Open DeFi is also one of our clients, which is another Indian blockchain project. Um, yeah, definitely, very, very supportive of the ecosystem.
that's great to hear, Rishikesh. So let's go back into your story a bit. So you said you were into the data science field. When did you sort of start working for Consensus, and was it the initial period when you started getting to know about blockchain, or was it kind of before that you started looking at it?
So yeah, so after data science, I moved for a brief period into product management. There was a opportunity for me to become, to own a product in the company where I was working, and I took that opportunity. That was a very, interesting, good opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I was kind of joined a company as a startup as a co-founder.
Mm-hmm.
And there we were trying to figure out how do we do international remittance as cheap as possible.
Mm-hmm.
um, so that's where the question of Bitcoin came in. Someone, I think I was the one who suggested maybe we can use Bitcoin. I
Which
didn't know what it.
year was it?
This was in 2015.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So really the core problem of international, inward remittances or outward remittances kind of, hitting the nail on its head from 2007, 2015 was Rishikesh's way of getting into this space.
Yes, that was when I knew somewhat about Bitcoin. I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started exploring it really. But that is not actually the first time when I heard about Bitcoin. The first time I actually heard about Bitcoin was somewhere in 2011.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I don't know what it was. I just, I tried to download it using my dial-up modem.
Mm-hmm.
The blockchain was 2 GB back then. So I tried to for 2 weeks to download the blockchain and run the Bitcoin, but I couldn't.
Uh-huh.
So if I was able to do that in 2011, that would have been really cool. Mine some Bitcoins and.
You never know. So one of my friends works with McKinsey, leads their engineering team in India. We were talking over beers in Bangalore a couple of years ago, and he was telling me how he got about a 96 bitcoins in 2011. With Because he was just one of those geeks who would read these things that keep coming on Hacker News, right? And he just experimented with it, knowing nothing about it.
Mm,
2013, he goes for an international vacation, uses those 96 bitcoins for 2 days stay at a Airbnb property, 2 days stay. And then 2017, when we were talking, 2018, early 2018, when we were talking, he was like, damn, who knew it's going to be, costing this much, right? I
yeah.
had a friend who, forgot what the keys were to his, wallet. lost about 26 odd bitcoins. Not a lot, but if you see now a bitcoin valued around $20,000, it's a lot. So I would say it's okay if you did not really get to mine a lot, or at that early time, sort of get a piece of the whole, what do you say, riches early on, right? But again, yeah. So I were you saying something?
No, no, I mean, I also have my own Bitcoin pizza story. I For me, it was the Ethereum. I think it was, I don't remember the numbers very well, but I think it was 2017 or
Uh-huh.
2016. And Ethereum was something like $10 or something like that. And I was planning to go to Ethereum DevCon 2 in
Sure.
Shanghai.
Hmm.
And of course, I wanted to use my Ether to buy those tickets because, why use credit card? And I think I spent something like 40 Ether for that conference ticket. So that's probably worth $24,000 now. So yeah, I have my own.
Wow. Who knew you could make so much money by doing conferences? Right. So, okay. So, let's get back into your story. So, 2017 was when you started working with Consensus? Consensus?
Yes, I think so. I think it was yeah, 2017, mid
Was it
2017.
Consensus India or Consensus, before it came to India and set up a dedicated shop?
This was way before. This was when Consensus had 300 employees. So
Okay.
the same conference that I told you about, the Shanghai. So I went there and
$1,000 entry.
yeah. So I went there. I talked to a few people. I became friends with this one French person
Hmm.
um, who later joined Consensus and started his own startup under Consensus. And he basically invited me to join his startup inside Consensus. So that's how I got into
It's
Consensus.
amazing. Which one was it though?
It was variable. It was a decentralized derivatives platform.
Very, very interesting.
It was, yeah. It got discontinued, but it was still very very interesting work.
So did you accumulate some ethers along the way?
I did, but I lost a lot. I did. I'm not very good at trading, so
See, that's what I was saying. You the moment you have it, now the only path is downhill. That's how it works. No matter who it works, everybody has this crazy Bitcoin pizza story, and now in this case, Ethereum pizza story, but Ethereum conference story. But yeah, quite interesting. So getting back into your story, variable was for you a way to understand the DeFi ecosystem probably early on in 2017, right? Then you started into the Oracle ecosystem in 18, or how did that work?
um, so yeah, in 2018 again I went to DevCon. So I went to almost all the Ethereum developer conferences. So I
Mhm.
went to DevCon in Czech Republic, Prague.
Mhm.
So I talked to a few DeFi companies like MakerDAO, for example, and few other companies. Um, what, how does it work? How do you
Sure.
solve this problem?
Hmm.
And I realized that most of the companies have not solved this problem. They had a centralized oracle, because we didn't really have a truly decentralized, secure oracle back then.
Just could you pause in for a second, Rishikesh? Tell me one thing. How do you like? Are there instances of centralized oracles being abused to gain money, or gain kind of like game the system of smart contract outcomes?
It happens too often.
Uh,
It happens very often. I think in just last 2 months there probably have been 2 or 3 such attacks.
uh,
It doesn't get publicized much, but it does happen. I think there was one on Compound Finance. So Compound Finance, I think this was less than a month ago. I think a couple of weeks ago. Compound Finance was using some kind of a centralized oracle to get their price feed from Coinbase. So they were, you know, two mistakes. One is getting using a centralized oracle. Second thing is getting data from only one source.
mhm.
Um, so the attacker was able to. manipulate the price by doing some trades on Coinbase, uh,
Sure,
and that caused a lot of um, issues. A lot of uh, uh, I think CDPs were diluted. I think something
sure.
like that. Yeah. So
That's interesting, and that definitely seems very very impactful problem to solve. And where is the product in the journey or the network in the journey? Are we out there? Is there like a test net, or are we on the mainnet stage? Where are we in our product journey?
yes, Razor Network has been in research and development since almost 2 years.
Uh-huh.
The research part is pretty much over. Development wise, yes, we have a testnet, so you can go to razorscan.io
Hmm.
and you can explore our testnet. So we are already reporting Ether, Bitcoin, Microsoft stock.
Hmm.
So, um, so yeah, our testnet has been working really well since last few months.
Congratulations to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we are planning to go to mainnet early next year.
Early next year. Okay. And so tokens are listed. Are there, you know, can everybody get a piece of the success?
Yes, in a while, you have to wait a little bit. So we just completed our private sale.
Uh-huh.
So we got some really good, major investors like NGC Ventures, Spark Digital Capital, IOSG,
Hmm.
Alameda Research. Um, so we raised $3.7 million, and soon we'll be planning to conduct a public sale. So you can follow us on Telegram, Twitter, and track that maybe if you want to participate.
Absolutely. I would definitely recommend, following Rishikesh and supporting his efforts at Raise Network. I'm sure the team up, but that's not like the end of the session. I'm gonna pick your brains a little bit more, Rishikesh. So so you mentioned a lot of investors and some amazing ones have participated in the private sale. Tell us if people saw you as a competitor to Chainlink, and what do you think you're gonna do better than them, and sort of what's the pitch there?
Okay. Just before we move to that, I forgot to mention one thing which I think I really like. Uh, Even if we have all these impressive investors,
Uh-huh.
uh, one of our investors is Mariano Conti,
Hmm.
who created the MakerDAO Oracle. So he was the head of
Wow.
oracles at Maker. So I'm really proud, more than anyone else, I'm really proud to have him on board as an investor.
I see a wave. I see you're attracting the team to your project already.
Yes, 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 definitely. Um, so yeah, so what makes it different? So see, there are two kinds of oracles in the space. So there are these DeFi oracles which are really fast, because DeFi applications require fast oracles,
Uh-huh.
and they are fast, but they are not very secure. They are not secure from game theoretical attacks.
Hmm.
You can attack them, you can manipulate them, and that can have devastating consequences on the
Hmm.
application. The other kind of oracles are they are not very fast, they are slow, but they are super secure. So
Sure.
one of an example is Augur. It's super secure, very well built, uh, but it can take weeks, sometimes months for Augur to resolve one result.
Hmm.
So Razor combines best of both worlds. Razor is fast, but we do not compromise with security. It is extremely secure. Every result that is reported by Razor is 100% perfect and accurate. So that's what is required for DeFi to advance to the next level, and that's the gap that we are filling in the market.
Interesting. Looking at from game theory perspective, generally when you look at proof of stake as a mechanism, what you say is the majority would never falter on consensus, right? Because then the currency will lose its shine. Though we've already seen, with Ethereum, when such hacks happen, the price has gone up instead of going down, right? It suddenly grabs a lot of attention, and sort of that is as a metric itself, attracts people. But from a perspective of these outcomes coming from Razor Network, or these data developments coming from Razor Network's oracles, do you think gaming the oracle might not really affect the price of Razor's token, or do you think that would still hold true here as well?
It's actually quite funny, like it's quite ironic. I asked this question to Vitalik actually when I was trying to understand
Uh-huh.
why, Ether proof of stake. So Vitalik
By the
was
way, Hrishikesh does not talk about any common man. He talks to the best in the in the. I'm just kidding.
yeah, nothing like that. Yeah, so he was here in Mumbai, for a hackathon. Um, and I asked this question to him, like, how do you, isn't this a problem? So I thought, if a staker, let's say, attacks the network, right?
Mhm.
Um, then the price will crash
Mhm.
because it got attacked. Now the attacker can buy more tokens because the price has crashed, right?
Sure.
So you can, for example, if you buy Ether at $10, let's say if you buy Ether at $600, you attack the network. You failed. You lost your Ether, but
Mhm.
Ether crashed. Now it is at, let's say, $200. Now you can buy even more Ether because it's cheaper now, and you can
Sure.
attack the network. Again, it will go down, so and so on. So I asked this question to Vitalik, and he actually said, like, ironically, the price will not go down; it will actually go up because the supply decreased.
Mhm.
So whatever Ether you had staked, let's say if you had staked 2,000 Ether,
Mhm.
uh, the supply of Ether was reduced permanently by 2,000 Ether. So the Ether will actually be more valuable.
Mhm.
There may be some volatility in the short term, but overall, the effect of that attack was positive for the network, ironically. So same in Razor network as well, because we are also proof of stake network, and we'll get stronger with every attack, unless if you do 51% attack, then then probably not. But for every other attack, yeah, we'll be stronger.
Interesting, interesting. So we have a couple of questions from people. First of all, there's a lot of appreciation because an Indian project is doing so well, and great to hear that you've done a private set, and are readying kind of the arsenal for the next couple of years of development, right? So, but there are also questions around So, for example, an early career student, in fact, from an engineering college, is asking, should he get into the blockchain space or is it too early?
Um, I mean, if you want to, i- if the choice is being too early or too late, I mean, I'll definitely be too early. I was quite early. I was trying to find a job in blockchain in 2015. There were zero jobs in India, um, and but still, I really wanted to, get into it, and I somehow got into it. It is one of the most like it's the hottest skill right now. There are so many companies looking for blockchain developers, and it's very difficult to find quality, blockchain developers. It is not too early. Definitely get into it if you are passionate about the technology. There is, it's the next big thing. You don't want to miss it.
Sure. And we have Ahmed, who's probably about 11 years into the IT field, but he seems to be early in his blockchain career. He, asks, can we have an API mechanism in blockchain?
Yeah, so I think what he's trying to ask is like, can you consume an API from the blockchain? Let's say Binance has an API for fetching prices.
Mm-hmm.
Can you write an application in blockchain which consumes that API?
Mm-hmm.
And the simple answer is no. You cannot consume any API, cannot consume any external, cannot visit any external website. It's simply not possible. And that is why we have this Oracle problem, and that's why we are trying to solve that problem.
That's very cool. So, Ahmed, there you have your answer. So getting back, interestingly, you have onboarded now a few projects. How many of them are already, sort of experimenting the product with you?
So we have several partners. In terms of clients, we have Mantra DAO,
Hmm.
which is one of the very hottest like developers.
Again, as I said, no small projects.
No, no, nothing like that. So yeah, we have Mantra DAO, we have Open DeFi, who are very much interested in using our application. We have
Mm-hmm.
Sentinel, which is a decentralized VPN. They also want
Uh-huh.
to use our product. Um, but we also have integration partners, like I mentioned, Matic Network, Scale Network,
Mm-hmm.
Persistence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are some other big ones also coming up, which is a bit confidential right now. So stay tuned.
Awesome. So, in the product journey, I'm going to restrict, questions around the product after this. And, I know I've overshot time by 5 minutes. I'm going to, bear with me for another 5 minutes, but I have some interesting, information to dig out of you. But on the product front, closing with a question on what's the journey in the next 18 months looking like?
So next 18 months is going to be quite exciting. We will be releasing our product on mainnet. We already have so many clients, and I think we'll just continue to get more and more clients. The team is growing. We are hiring right now for interns, full-time developers, full stack developers, solidity developers. So if anyone is interested, they can apply. We are hiring for all positions, even marketing um, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, we have the first version will be releasing early next year, but we
Sure.
have uh, two more versions planned
Mm-hmm.
after that. So we have entire roadmap for at least for 18 months that we'll be focusing on. So yeah, very exciting times ahead, especially in India. We are seeing a lot of exciting startups, blockchain startups coming up from India, and we want to encourage them as much as possible. Partner with them, support them. So yeah, very exciting times.
So we're going to quickly get into a rapid fire round, and as it goes, I'm going to talk to you about certain things that you don't have to think about it much. But just before we get into it, we have another last question. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to entertain anymore after this, but this one goes, do we have any alternative to Ethereum which is less public, not Hyperledger, of course?
Um, yes. Maybe Quorum is a good Ethereum Quorum. Is a good alternative because it is Ethereum. It supports Solidity,
Mm-hmm.
but you can run private networks using that. A lot of adoption. It's probably one of the most popular application or blockchain to use for private networks.
Absolutely, absolutely. So about the rapid fire round. Question. 5 6 questions thrown at you. What's the immediate thing that comes to your mind? So a person that you idealize in this space.
Vitalik.
Ah, which podcasts or blogs do you follow to keep yourself updated?
Podcast or blog?
Nothing much.
It's not blockchain. I try to. I listen to this podcast called No Agenda.
Uh-huh.
It's a political U.S. American political podcast, so not
Okay.
related to blockchain, but very entertaining.
Uh, I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah.
Okay, and okay, so outside of blockchain space is what you said. Is there another one, in the blockchain space that you look up to? Any blog as well?
Epicenter Bitcoin. It's one
Uh-huh.
of the oldest one and still one of the best. Very informative. The guests there are very,
Hmm.
very good.
Okay, what do you think about Bitcoin price being around 20K USD mark? Is it justified?
Yeah, it is definitely justified. I think it can be worth. It is worth a lot more. I mean, if you're talking about a global decentralized payment
Hmm.
mechanism, I wouldn't say it's a store of value because it's too volatile. But I
Hmm.
think in over time it can be store of value.
Sure.
So yes, but I would be cautious because technology always becomes obsolete by a better technology. I think proof of work is obsolete in 2020. Bitcoin will be overtaken by a proof of stake technology, probably Ethereum 2.0 or any other. We don't know, but yeah,
So
we are
an
thinking.
Ethereum maximalist is what we're sensing there.
No, I'm not a maximalist, but I'm just saying it will be some technology better than proof of work. That
Yeah,
for
you have
sure.
to be careful with calling someone a bug these days, right?
Yeah.
You can just one notion and you can be like, you're biased. But forgive me for that. Tell me about the influencers you follow in the space.
Um, Influencers, as in like, um, um, yeah, I don't know. Like I follow.
So Rishikesh has friends, no influencers to follow. Okay, so if you were to put in all your money in a token, which one will it be?
Ethereum, definitely. Like right now, and Razer.
I was just going to ask you that as a counter question. Okay, so DEXs or centralized exchange, which one do you prefer and why?
Definitely decentralized exchange. I don't like the fact that it's we moved into decentralization because we don't like gatekeepers. We want to do peer-to-peer transactions. We don't like middlemen, and what we are using right now is again middlemen and gatekeepers.
Mhm.
So a lot of good projects are not able to succeed because these exchanges don't allow them to be listed unless they
Mhm.
pay a lot of money,
Uh-huh.
which is not a good thing. So that's why we are a fan of decentralization, and that's why we are a fan of decentralized exchanges. Yeah, so definitely we love decentralized exchanges.
Absolutely. I think, for me as well, being in this space is about believing in decentralization and, being in DeFi, believing in open innovation. I think those are sort of the two belief points that, help me stick to the blockchain space or crypto space, as we call it. And an entrepreneur or public figure you follow most outside of the.
Entrepreneur outside the blockchain space. So I used to follow Richard Branson.
Uh,
I read his book. Used to be one of my role models. How he started such a huge empire from nothing.
mhm.
Uh, Elon Musk also is quite impressive, and yeah, follow all his work.
Okay, we have quite some, a rapid fire of its own. Which exchange Razor will get listed?
It will definitely be a decentralized exchange before we go for a centralized exchange.
Okay.
Regarding centralized exchanges, we stay tuned.
Okay. So, there was quite a queue, but I think the last one from my side is going to be your way to keeping yourself motivated.
It's just if your work is around your passion, I think it's not really it's difficult. It's
Mhm.
just if you follow your passion, if your work and passion is the same thing, then you don't need to do anything by to keep yourself motivated. It's automated.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's quite a motivating statement in itself. Okay, so a message, for the audience from your side. You took out some time. This is your time to share.
Oh, my message to the audience. Yeah, follow us on our social media. So you'll probably share it in the post, right? Follow us on Twitter, on Telegram. We organize many different, community engagement events like quizzes and competitions
Mhm.
uh, that your audience will love to participate in. We do a lot of giveaways,
Mhm.
and stay tuned for a lot of exciting news, partnerships, and when public sale, when moon, all of that.
Amazing. So the focus is on taking the Razer network to heights and the token to its to the moon,
Yeah.
as the man says it. Okay, thank you so much, Rishikesh, for joining us. I believe I took a little over the time I promised you. You have a sore throat, but love to see the dedication. I really wish Razer network takes the Indian ecosystem to even higher heights than Matic took us.
Oh, wow.
Years. Uh,
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the time as well. Thanks a lot, Akshay. Thanks for all the audience to be here.
mhm.
And yeah, look forward to talk to you again.
Okay. Okay, the new. So I am not aware of the new Boston currency. Are you by any chance? No.
No, no
So,
idea.
yeah, I was trying to restrict all these questions, but while going, I want to satisfy everyone who's tuning in. Thanks again, buddy. Good luck with Razer Network, and hope to see you around in the ecosystem.
Definitely, we'll see you around. Bye. Take care. Thanks a lot.